All right. Well, welcome everyone to Control AI, the finance leader's playbook for AI and automation. My name is Andy. I'll be the host today. I am the head of product at DualEntry, an AI native ERP aiming to sort of revolutionize how accountants go about their day. Our first guest today is James from Skool, who we're super excited to have on the show and to dive into some examples of the things that he's building at Skool and automating around this. So, welcome, James.
Thanks for having me, Andy. This is awesome and exciting to be able to share what we've built at school and how others can apply it for their own teams.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, for those of the people on the call who maybe don't know what Skool is, maybe they've been living under a rock, they haven't been paying attention to all the cool things. They don't have this like super cool Skool shirt that I do sitting beside me here today. What is Skool and why does it exist?
Yeah, so School is a community platform that allows both creators and people who want to, learn, educate themselves on basically much anything to be able to join the platform and just go crazy with discovery. The platform is built in a way to kind of like feed everything that needs to the tools that one creator needs in order to run a community, integrated with like video hosting, any map features, community courses, anything that you might need to educate or promote a niche through a community platform, all can be done on School. And the reason why, uh, you know, you know our CEO came with the idea. It came from a pain point that we had from, the previous company that we worked on, which was consulting.com. Consulting.com basically was a course, a mastermind, basically for teaching people how to switch from a 9 to 5 to a full-time consulting gig. And so we had our communities on Facebook groups. We had our videos hosted through Wistia. We had like all these different tools that we had to use to get the
Yeah.
job done, basically. And so the idea came from that. It's like that's too much. That's too painful. So we started putting everything together, and then yeah, Sam and our CTO Daniel came up with the product that people use today, which is cool, where you can create a community, create courses, host webinars, host one-on-one calls, promote IRLs like in real life events through our map feature, and do a bunch of cool stuff. And most of it is gamified. I think that what keeps people
Mhm.
kind of like engaged to it. So yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
That is super cool. I love always to hear people who start a company based on a pain point at a previous one. I feel like that just leads to, much better outcomes.
I think it's how some of the best products are created.
Absolutely, absolutely. What's maybe one of or two of your favorite communities on School? I was looking through this and I saw somebody is already trying to figure out a way to monetize GTA 6, which hasn't even launched yet, you know. What have you seen on there that you think is pretty interesting?
I one of them is the pickleball school. I think, unfortunately, I'm one of those people who got into pickleball, and for some reason, the sport just like takes over your life, and you're so involved, and you start buying all these different paddles and learning all this different terminology, and just when anyone ever invites you to pickleball, you just have to say yes. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
pickleball is cool. And then there's a group that I really love. My kid actually likes to crochet. There's a crocheting
Oh,
group
cool.
that they release templates or like they have a lot of product that they release on a monthly basis on like different exercises and stuff, and it's on there. It's one of our top groups, I think, in school, and it's pretty cheap for what they offer. I think currently it's like $9 a month. But
Amazing.
yeah, amazing quality, which is great to see because like if you go into Discovery right now, it's like there's such a huge range of communities, everywhere from AI to how to make money to crocheting to painting to playing pickleball to we have a bird watching community that
Cool.
some of our team members are into. So it's like honestly, like our whole thing is that if you're interested in something, we want there to be a school for that. And so the tag team is like, oh, there should be a school for that. So if you go into
I
school
love
and
that.
you find something that you're interested in, but you don't see a school built for it, go ahead and do it yourself.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Maybe we need a an AI native controller school
There
developed here.
you
Maybe you
go.
guys should maybe we should collaborate on that offline. But it's funny you mentioned the pickleball. I feel like pickleball fits the old joke of like, how do you know that that someone does CrossFit? You know, they'll tell you, right? And I feel like pickleball is maybe the 20s version of that.
That's funny.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm really excited to hear more about kind of how you've been building up Skool, how you've been building out the finance function, all these kind of things. But before we jump into that, maybe tell us a little bit about like what your role is, how you got into it, why you're somebody that we're chatting with today.
Yeah, I've been in finance now for a little bit over a decade. I studied engineering back in Malta, so I moved to America think about 12, 13 years now. But I got married young. And so my the goal with engineering was I was going to go work off on oil rigs. I had a friend of mine doing that. But since I had gotten married, I was like, my wife would not be happy with that. So I had no clue what I was going to do. And then I was like, I love numbers. And my brother was like, why don't you take accounting and economics? So switched to accounting. Been doing it ever since. And then when I was in the US, I kind of went down that I was at that fork of like, do I go the CPA route or do I stay within corporate accounting? And my love and passion is FP&A and data. And so I decided to stay the kind of like the management accounting route. And in 2017, I met Sam Ovens in the consulting.com team which yeah, I've been working with Sam now since 2017, and that was the first time working directly with engineers and data teams and stuff like that, and I got so excited about it.
Hmm.
I started learning more about like the data architecture and how it all can play with with finance. And which I think helped me a lot because nowadays it's like, okay, that's kind of like where everything's going, like with AI, with automation. It's like
Yeah,
if you have a small, decent understanding of what it all means on the back end, it can help you progress much faster into adopting new tools or, building workflows or putting AI agents to work. So, yeah, I've been doing it yeah, for almost a decade now. And in between consulting.com and in school, I ran my own fractional CFO and FP&A consulting firm. And then back in January of 2025, Sam asked me to come back full time, and I did that. So I'm now the financial controller at Skool. I am a one-man team, so everything that's finance related falls on my to-do list, and
amazing.
I make sure to get it done. But yeah, I'm able to do that because I leverage different tools so that we can optimize for speed of closing, journal entries, basically all you can think. There's some sort of automation hitting every side of the FinOps section of the business.
That's amazing. I love that story. I feel like the most interesting careers are these winding path ones where you didn't really know where you were going to go at the beginning, but when you look back, it sort of all makes sense and built towards something meaningful.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would have never thought that I would be an accountant when I was a kid. So,
Yeah, well, I think being an accountant is cool these days. There's a lot of really interesting stuff that can be
yes.
done now, right? So just a world of opportunity to build new things. Cool. So we're gonna do a Q&A chat here. We've got a couple questions that we've talked about here. Then James is gonna walk us through a few things that he's been building, workflows that he has in operation and production today, how they help him be that sort of one-man show. And then we'll open up for some questions from the audience at the end. But really excited to get into it today. So James, my first question is I've heard you describe accounting as a liability to a company, right? Which is a very accounting way to frame the function here. But unpack this idea. Tell me about how it shaped your career. Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, so when I was working in New York for consulting.com, we had a CPA firm that we used for, filing and everything. And it was an awesome guy to get to know, uh, learn a lot from him. I think was a great mentor. But one thing that he explicitly told me, he's like, don't let your job just be a liability to the company. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you're like a government employee on a private payroll. And I started thinking about that. I was like, yeah, it's like if all I do is just manage the book so that we basically, have everything done by the book so that, if an audit happens, we're not going to get into trouble. I'm not really helping the company move forward.
Hmm.
Some of my KPIs were revenue, tied to revenue, but I was like, what am I doing in order, to help the company forward? I was like, yeah, I'm looking at some expenses and sometimes find some waste and stuff and bring it up and, help alleviate that cost from the P&L. But what am I truly doing to help move the company forward? And that is kind of like when I discovered FP&A. So it's kind of looking more into like analyzing the data and then coming up with different
Hmm.
strategies on, okay, how do I help the company? And from
Yeah.
that moment onwards, I started looking at, okay, it's like I'm more of a support role for the business. So how can I support all the different other departments
Yeah.
within the company so that they can better do their job and, they can do what they should be focused
Hmm.
on. And that kind of like yeah revolutionized my way of looking at the role and me wanting to dive further into learning more about data architecture. I learned
Yeah.
SQL, Python, and JavaScript on my free time. um, which
Amazing.
again, a little bit of a data nerd, so that to me was like a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and I was like discovering new things, like I think every day, which was exciting because I love to learn. But yeah, it truly has shaped like that one question. It truly has shaped like how I view my role and how I support the team.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like so much of our life is mentality and how we approach things. And yeah, what a gift it is when someone can impact your mentality and change the way you look at the world or think about it. It's also interesting as you start to describe this journey. I'm just imagining like, you're talking about a time before there was AI, before it was easy to, engage in all these various pieces. And you leaned and fought the struggle here. But man, you must be so excited about what you can do with AI now that
Oh
it's not
my
quite those
gosh, yeah.
barriers.
I was just talking to a friend of mine. I was like, even in the last year and a half. I was like, if I had some of the tools that I have access to today, back in like 2022, 23, when I was like running my consulting business full time, because I was like a one man,
Yeah. Yeah.
company, consulting firm. I had at one point hired two interns to help me because my workload was, it grew and I was working like 60 hours a week. But I was like, I would have crushed it if I had some of these automation tools that I'm using today. But yeah, it's crazy to see like the technology that's coming out every day, like the advancements. It's kind of like overwhelming if you don't
Yeah.
stop to take it in slowly. But to see the application of how we can apply that in accounting and finance and take advantage of it, it honestly like makes me excited to wake up to work every morning.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. What's a good example of something you were kind of doing by hand in this fractional CFO role, or maybe something you had the interns doing, by hand here that now you've automated it, now you're using AI for it.
Yeah, so a good example was going through different treasury accounts that had uh, like a lot of transactions within them for like a treasury ladder where you're having
Hmm.
all these transactions going in and out, and you have to accrue interest, when buying
Yep.
treasuries because it's prior to the maturity date and all this stuff. Which prior I would have to go through like the statement at the end of the month and go through and build the journal entry manually, and then reconcile like the unrealized loss or gains on
Hmm.
AWS, um, um, and like all of these different things that had to be done manually. Today, I have a similar kind of like SOP for one of Skool's accounts, and it's literally done by a workflow. I feed the statement to a local agent, and the agent generates a journal entry, and I just review the journal entry. And then post it to the ERP. But a part of what it does is it looks at the opening and closing balances of the previous period, and then make sure that it reconcile it to the opening and closing balance after it posts all the transactions to the general ledger, which is pretty cool. Like I still review it, but I'm like
Yeah.
that shave. I think it used to take me like around 2 hours to do that. Now I review it in like 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, good. Let's keep
Yeah,
going.
that's amazing. I love that. I feel like that one of the really important lessons that we've observed at DualEntry, and then I think you're referencing here is, yeah, it's so powerful. Like it gets you all the way there, but you still need that accountability. You still need that approval chain. You still have to have that human in the loop to use the term du jour right now of, it is you ultimately like posting the journal entry, signing off on it, saying it's accurate and correct.
And I think that's kind of like, and I know I'm jumping to something we have planned to talk about later, but that I think that's where the kind of accounting finance role is kind of morphing into, evolving into, right? We're evolving from doers to reviewers. It's like we're
Yeah,
not actually doing the work. We don't need to do the work. We can have, different logic-based rules, automations, and even AI agents come in and doing the work. What we need to do is focus on review. And what that does is it takes, okay, the time it takes to do is much less than the time it takes to review. At least
yes,
from my experience, from now a little bit over 10 years of having to do the work and now having to review, I can say like it takes much less time to review work than to actually manually do it by yourself. And then that gives you time, again, going back to the whole, like you becoming an asset, becoming a value to the company. You can focus more on your time more on that than anything else. And I think that's what is so exciting about, where we're going with this
Mhm.
new technology is that we're becoming less of doers and more of strategic, critical thinkers and assets to the business, where we can actually help shape the future of the
Absolutely.
businesses that we're engaged in.
Yeah, you're no longer just a liability, right? To bring up these
Exactly. No longer a liability.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You were telling me this story about how you came back from a 2 week vacation and cleared out your entire backlog in 30 minutes. Like, how did that feel? What enabled that? How did you get to that capability?
Yeah, so Skool, we closed our offices for Christmas break. So at the end of the year, we basically, close the doors, send everyone to, uh, enjoy their family for the Christmas break, which I really love. I think it's an awesome benefit to working at Skool.
Yeah.
But since I am the, one man finance team, like transactions are still flowing through, everything's still going, while no one's there.
Yeah,
So
maybe
coming
some people got school subscriptions for Christmas, right?
Yes, exactly. So coming back, in I think it was in 2004 that we were like, okay, we're growing. We need a better expense management tool, and that's when we adopted Ramp at that time. Which even Ramp over the course of the last 2 years have advanced so much in terms of what it can offer. But what I did is look at the different tools on the market and kind of like focus, okay, what can it do to reduce the manual input that is required for me? And so basically I built all these like rule-based automations
Mhm.
and workflows in Ramp so that as transactions are coming through the system, they're being auto categorized, they're being auto synced to the GNL, so I don't have to, basically do anything unless there's something that doesn't fall into any, rules logic. And so we had a little bit over 2,000 transactions that occurred over the period. But at the end of the period, I think it was like 63 or 67. I can't remember the exact number. I know it's somewhere in between those two, though, that I had to review. And the reason why I had to review those transactions is because there there's a class-based logic that at the time Ramp didn't offer, like to be able to kind of like go through. So
Mhm.
it's like things like, oh, prepaid expenses for events that are happening in Q1 or Q2 of 2025. At that time, Ramp wasn't able to decipher through those expenses. But it made my life, super easy because I came back.
Yeah.
What I do is I run a report of everything that was synced, just to make sure, everything is synced properly, and then reviewed those transactions and was able to start 2025 fresh and ready to go.
That's amazing. That's amazing. How should our viewers think about that sort of 63, 67, transactions? Like, do you think that number goes to zero? Is it chipped away a little bit each time? Like, what does the system look like at maturity?
Yeah, so I don't know if it'll ever completely go down to zero just because like with most businesses nowadays, like businesses are evolving so fast quarter over quarter,
Yeah.
where it honestly makes our life a living nightmare because like a 12-month forecast, the model no longer does the job. You really just need to be planning for in the next month or three.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like if it's evolving so fast, then you're constantly having to watch out, like what are the new transactions that are gonna be coming in. So I think there's always going to be like, oh, this is something new. We have to learn, we have to adapt to.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it'll ever get down to zero.
Yeah.
Or the other way to put it is I don't know if I'll ever be like fully 100% confident to trust it to bring it down to zero.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that's a bigger question because again, like even though I've adopted all these tools, I'm very cautious. Like it took me a while to adopt, and the reason why is because my whole thing is I don't trust anything that I don't understand.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I learned SQL, I learned JavaScript, I learned some coding terminology and like understanding what engineers, the tools that they use and what they're building and what the different acronyms that they use me because if I don't understand it, I can, feel comfortable using it or engaging in discussion around it. And so for me, it was like, okay, like everyone's talking about AI, like what is this? Like let me really dive into okay, what are these new tools that are coming out and everything. And so once I got a good understanding of it, I was like, oh my gosh, this can be amazing. And so, like for the application of the transaction specifically, which we'll talk about later about BIBIT, but the whole goal was to build this matrix of confidence.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like a logic matrix of these are the vendors. If the memos are include this for that specific vendor, then I have 100% confidence that this should be categorized as such. And it's basically a table that keeps all of that information, and that information is used by an agent that then goes and reviews all the transactions against it, and reviews it, and then gives me a report. Says, "Hey, I'm 100% confident in these, and now I'm at a point where it's like it's okay for it to go and update." And then anything that's under 100% confidence, according to the logic matrix,
Yeah.
then it'll leave them for review. It says this is what I think based on what we've
Mhm.
done, but I'm gonna leave it up to you to basically make the decision. And the cool thing is that agents have memory files, and every
Yep.
time we make a decision, that's appended to memory, and now it knows that okay, we're adding confidence basically to this vendor or to this expense type. So it goes again, it's constantly learning and building. But again, I
Yeah.
don't know if I'll ever be like, oh yeah, take it all the way down to zero. I don't know. I'm definitely not at that point yet.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And maybe to turn us back to the earlier part of the conversation, it's not unlike an intern, right? Like there's
Yeah.
some activities that you like are fully trust and have delegated to because you've seen their work and you feel confident. And there's other ones where like, you want to trust but verify kind of thing. So I think that's a good pattern. Also at DualEntry, we're making an ERP, we're making a system of record. Like it has to be accurate, it has to be reliable. Like it's a serious product for serious people, right? And so we want to automate everything in the process here, but we have to have that confidence interval, that same kind of thinking of, how do you actually know that this has meaningfully automated your life and done what you would expect it to do as an accounting professional? Great. So for the people who are like love this vision, are excited to accomplish it themselves, how do they get there, right? Like, I'm assuming you didn't just flip a switch and have it perfectly work the day you woke up deciding to do this, right? How do teams think about this? Where do they go wrong? What is your advice to start to build this direction?
Yeah, so I think I already kind of like hit on the step number one, which is getting familiar with what the tools are, doing some deep research yourself. Don't, have AI guide you through the research. But I think this is my biggest, I guess, frustration right now is that people are just jumping into it without actually knowing what they're doing and like understanding what's happening. So I always say step one, understand what the tools are, how they work, get comfortable with the different terminology. You just need to have a basic understanding of how all of this works. Once you have that, step two would be to take inventory of what you and your team do, like every day, day in, day out. This is something that I've been operating since like from the beginning. I have like a full to-do list that's broken out into daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual. All right. And everything that repeats more than once is written down on that to-do list. It is broken down with as much detail as possible. And that I think is what made it easy for me is that I already had that kind of like I already took inventory a while ago. I already know what I was doing. But once you have that, you can start going through each of these tasks and asking yourself, okay, can this be somehow automated? And the best way to think about it is if it's something that follows a logic sequence, right? So if X, do Y, if that task can be completed from start to finish using some sort of logic sequence, then that can be easily done through a workflow or some sort of
Yeah.
automation. So we're not even really talking AI at the point. It's just like using a rules-based logic automation that a lot of tools nowadays have. If not, connect to Zapier, N8N, whatever you want to
Yeah.
use,
Yep.
and automate as much as possible. So that would be kind of like the first step. After you go through those tasks, then you're looking at those tasks where like, okay, what kind of critical level, what level of critical thinking is involved into getting this task done? And that's when you're going to start to, introduce AI agents and AI automations. Like, okay, is there some sort of pattern, even
Yeah.
though like it might not be like 100% confidence, but is there some
Mhm.
sort of pattern that through basic, critical thinking, you can get to the answer? Then I was like, okay, then we're going to start building AI automations for those specific tasks. And then more importantly is knowing exactly what task you're going to keep for yourself, but also adding all the tasks to review and survey
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
automation. Because again, like you're not just handing over the tasks. The same thing. Like if you're in a management role, you just don't hand over the tasks. Like you have to make sure that you go and from time to time check in, be like, hey, everything's okay. Same thing for these tools and AI agents. Like you need to make sure that and now you're in like that management position, you're going in and checking every once
Yeah.
in a while. So it's like making sure to add those. And like once you have that full picture in front of you, that is that's basically step two, right? That's step three is going in, which are going to be the best tools to get the most done. So, our view at school, and this is something that comes from Sam, is keep things as simple as possible. So, keep your tool stack as simple as
Yeah.
possible. Try not to complex with like, I've seen teams where their tool stack is like 8, 10 different products, and I'm like, you have some overlap, like, but it is what it is. So figure out what your tool stack is going to be. That's kind of step three. Step four is go and build. And I always go with like the lowest hanging fruit that's easiest, not as, detrimental to your, close cycle or to your day-to-day
Yep.
functions. Stuff that you can be okay with getting it wrong at the first, on the first instance. Because it is going to be kind of like a trial and error.
Yep.
Like, I know I've talked to you before, but it's like it wasn't perfect the
Yeah.
first time I, created an AI automation. It's all about learning through the process and then adapting. And
Yeah.
this is why I think it's also critical to understand because if you want to understand what's happening or how the tool works, you're going to end up frustrated and giving up on it completely and then just going back to doing the work yourself, which is not what you want. You want to move forward. But yeah,
Absolutely.
after doing that, it's like slowly pushing those tasks that can be automated and handed over to AI agents all down the pipeline so that again you end up with like these are my tasks. This is what I'm in charge of. This is what I'm going to physically manually do myself. And then these are all the tasks that I have to review other workflows, other automations, other agents. I think like that's how I did it. That's how I've always instruct others to do it as well because I found the best success doing that.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And it's striking to me as you describe this, how many of these patterns are, durable patterns that we've talked about pre-AI, like, with AI and so forth. It's understanding how the business actually works, understanding the standard operating procedures, the chain of logic of how things work. Like having that systems thinking helps you improve the system and address each of the individual components. Or even like, in my role in product, I think about this a lot of like how do we build the minimum viable prototype, the smallest thing to see that it works? How do we get information to then know which bets to invest further in that process? So I love hearing that same sort of pattern, that same system thinking applied to AI and finance here for you. So in a few minutes, we're going to get into you showing us a few things that you've built yourself. I know everybody's really eager to see that. I have two questions I want to ask before we get into that, which is you really encourage people to not be afraid to be technical, to learn into this, lean into it. But what do you have to say to people who are like scared to do that or don't know how to do that or don't know how to get started going down this, AI native technical learning mindset route?
Yeah, I would say that you don't need to become an expert in it. I always say like you just need to know enough that you can actually understand, keep conversation around it, and just have a basic understanding of, what the tool that does. I'm not asking people to, learn coding and go learn different languages and
Yeah,
start building and programming their own stuff. Like that's a whole different career. That's not what we're meant for. But it is important that we understand what's happening on the back end. This is kind of like how I went through my own journey, like with data architecture and understanding data and all this stuff and learning SQL. Because I was like, okay, if you think about it, every form of data that we interact with is all the same. It's just
yep,
numbers and text stored in a table.
yeah,
And I think as accountants, our job puts us in a great position of being able to understand data architecture because all we interact with is tables, right?
yep.
If you're an accountant, you've lived in Excel, you lived in Google Sheets. Just think of the whole world as a bunch of spreadsheets because that's what it is, literally. And that's usually how I try to explain it to people. I was like, "Are you afraid of, a spreadsheet?" And they're like, "No, I'm a king of my spreadsheets, right?" It's like, so you can be the king of the world because everything is spreadsheets. Once you understand that everything out there, every piece of information is just structured spreadsheets, you're like, oh, that's not scary at all.
Yeah,
What's scary is like, okay, how most of us know how to interact with a spreadsheet only through the tools that application offers, like the tools that Microsoft Excel offers, the
right,
tools
right.
that Google Sheets offer. But that's where SQL comes in because SQL is this universal language
Hmm.
of talking to data. So even for me, like I use a lot of SQL both in Excel and Google Sheets. Like you can actually use this language to structure and transform your data even in a spreadsheet. Which for me, when I found that out, I was like, oh my gosh. I was
Yeah,
like, I'm never gonna use a VLOOKUP, a filter ever
I know,
again
right? All those
because
esoteric things we've all had
I
to
can
learn.
do all of those things with SQL.
Yes.
Um, uh, but it also that like once I learned that, when I showed proficiency, I basically had this was back with consulting.com. I asked the team, I was like, hey, can I get access to the warehouse? And they're like, do you even know what you're doing? And I was like, yeah, yeah. And I was able to provide so much value being able to read all these different endpoints from all across the company. Because I'd run an analysis, and this is where I really love FP&A because it takes non-financial data like marketing data or customer support data, all of this, and you match it and kind of like marry it with financial data like how is our success in customer support affecting our refunds rate, our disputes rate, our
Hmm.
overall profit margin, and then showing that to the team and being able to digest it and explain it to them. And that's again like when I started getting like my data high, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like I gotta learn more how to be able to extract information from here and there. But yeah, like to me, it's one of those things like it's a universal language. It's
Yep.
already part of what we do. We just don't realize it. Every time you're doing a VLOOKUP, every time you're doing anything in Google, you're using SQL, but it's structured in a
Right.
skill in a tool, right? So you're using it, you just don't realize you're using it because it's structured where it's maybe a little bit more UI friendly. But yeah, I think as accountants, as people in finance who already use the tool, like there's nothing to fear. It's like you're already using it. You just actually don't realize it.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. It's ultimately you're having a conversation with data, right? And
Exactly.
that's why
That's all
AI
it
is
is.
so powerful, right? Is because it's having a conversation, right? It can translate that conversation into SQL and translate the SQL into the extraction back out. Cool. So before you jump into showing us, some of the things that you've built or talking through that, let's just help us get the lay of the land with your sort of tech stack. What tools do you use? How are things set up? What is this sort of mature person in finance? What are you using these days?
Yeah, so for school, we again trying to keep everything simple. We use kind of like our frontier tool is Ramp. We use Ramp for expense management, AP reimbursements, travel for our team. So basically, all of our day-to-day operations like flows through Ramp. Even use Ramp for some of its treasury functions. So like we have a decent amount of our checking treasury, like our day-to-day funds in RAM. So it's like everything is in one
Yep.
ecosystem. We have other bank relationships there as, safeguards and to make sure that, hey, if anything ever happens to ramp, our risk has been, we're not putting all our eggs in one
Yeah.
basket. But ramp stays at the forefront of everything that we do. Then obviously we have switched from QuickBooks to DualEntry as our ERP, and it serves as our general ledger. It's where everything comes together. RevRec from Stripe. Stripe is our what we're
Mhm.
currently using for processing and billing. Everything comes through there. For our payroll and HR, we're using Rippling, and then for equity-based management, we using Carta. But that's
Mhm.
our entire tech stack, and everything again comes back to dual entry, and most of the interactions are through automations or native integrations between the tools. So that has made like things super easy. For example, like around payroll, like I think payroll this is the easiest it's ever been because everything is
Amazing.
integrated, everything is coded, everything is beautifully automated where all I have to do is just review payroll runs before they happen. And that's it. I don't even have to approve. The only time I have to unapprove. That's what I hate. If something is wrong, just unapprove. But if I review and everything is right, I literally do nothing. So throughout my career, this has been the most pleasant experience with payroll. So super love what we've been able to build there. But yeah, that's the entirety of it. So any questions
Amazing.
regarding that?
No, I think that's a pretty well painted picture. So, with that, let's jump into the demo or the sort of workflow that you wanted to show off today.
Yeah, so before we jump into the kind of like what I'm doing at school and how I started with building automation and stuff, I wanted to kind of go over what we talked a little bit about, but it's basically like the difference between rule-based automation and like AI automations, LLMs, and this stuff. Because I've seen a lot of finance teams like they're like, oh my gosh, AI, we have to use it, and then just go to the shiny new object and be like, okay, what can we do with
Yeah.
AI? And then they end up, burning through millions and millions of tokens. The cost is crazy, and they're like, oh, this might not be good. So let's go back to doing the work. Because one, we don't understand it, and two, we're spending too much money on it. And I'm like, okay, that's because we're going all out trying to use a tool for what it wasn't purposed to do.
Yep.
And the thing is, like, this is where knowing your tools is super important because, most of the accounting tools that are out there today, like, have some sort of rule-based automation built into them.
Mhm.
So the first thing is to understand, okay, when do we use rule-based automation and when do we, go back to AI? So kind of like a quick rundown of, rules to agents, knowing again when to use which is super
Yep.
important. And this is part of the book that I'm writing on FinOps. But it's basically the automation spectrum going from like, okay, step one, rule based to six using agents. And a good way to understand it is, the example of AP. So like, invoices coming through your inbox, them going to the tool that monitors your AP and you process billing through. and then all the way to processing the payment. All of that stuff, most probably you don't need an AI agent for. Why? Because most of it is rule-based logic, right? So Google, if you use Google or Outlook, they both have filters for watching out for PDFs. They both have filters for watching out for specific emails. So I have a whitelist of emails that is allowed to basically send is for AP. Once they hit our finance inbox, those are automatically rerouted by Google to Ramp. Ramp automatically sees them and has rule-based categorization for all of our suppliers, and it applies all the GL codes, all the classes on its own. And then it automatically sends a notification to our approver, which everything's going through the CEO. So the CEO gets the approval, all done automation. I haven't touched anything at this point. He approves, it comes back to me. I do one final check and I release payment. So basically, we took a process that, before I was like, okay, I have to watch my inbox, then take that invoice, put it into, a billing system, and then send it for approval, comes back to me, check it, release it for payment, to just me at the end of the workflow reviewing and releasing payments, reviewing and releasing payments. And if something doesn't seem right, I go back into the workflow, make edits,
Yeah.
for approval, whatever it is. So that's a great example of like rule-based like logic, right? Like where we can apply it. And this is where kind of like this whole automation things come in. It's like you write these explicit rules, chain workflows, and conditional branching. If you've used Zapier or NN8, like you're pretty comfortable with logic-based sequences, right? If you're building a workflow in Zapier, like, hey, when this happens, do an if kind of split path. If this happens, do this. If this happens, do that. That's all logic-based um, uh, rules. Now, with rule-based automation, again, like most of the tools have it, which is awesome. For example, all of that stuff that I said with clearing those transactions in ramp, those are all coming from rule-based logic based on each card. So we have a policy here at Skool where if it's a software subscription, something online, it gets its own card. That card is only able to be used with that online retailer. It has a specific amount connected to our budget. It codes everything, for example, to software, to like the class engineering, and you can auto sync that. Whereas, like, if that transaction comes through our pipeline, the automation does everything. It goes in and even syncs it all the way to the GL. So this is like why, rule-based automation is so important in accounting. So again, as of now, like doing all of this, we haven't introduced AI in any single step. A great again, this is the example I went over, which is like the invoice email that arrives, and this is again going over like the different triggers, conditions, and branching. Again, if it's something that you can walk through a logic sequence, which is if this happens, then do
Right.
this, it can be automated. So the important thing is, okay, then when do we get to to using AI? Like when do we use LLM
Right.
models? And I won't bore you all with, with the rest of the details, but basically here you know, the goal of the book is to walk the reader through, okay, what is machine learning? Like when to use LLMs? What is AI? And I think again, it goes back to understanding the tools that you're using. But the most important thing, and I'll just skip here to the slide so that we can get to the actual workflows. But this is where again, figuring out if it's deterministic versus probabilistic. Sorry. If
Yeah.
it's something that's deterministic, something, hey, this is a logic written in advance, it's always identical, clean structure, fully auditable, and it can go through multiple sequences of itself without ever, hitting an unhandled case. Rule-based automation. No need to introduce AI.
Yep.
So where does AI shine? And this is the beauty of AI, right? Whenever you have patterns that are changing or inferring different patterns or something that's slightly varying over time, that's when to introduce an agent because that's what an agent can't do that a rule-based automation can, is they can think. So if they come across a situation that hasn't been determined yet, they'll be like, okay, let me look into my memory, let me, fill in the context, let me fill in the gap, and I'll come up with the answer and fill that gap for you, right? So this is awesome in situations where, again, where you have something that's constantly adapting. If you are a
Mhm.
service business and your contract rules for revenue recognition are constantly differentiating or changing between one contract and the next, it's great to have an AI, in the pipeline, because they can make these probabilistic guesses. And it's
Yeah.
really great also to introduce AI where you have messy, unstructured,
Yeah.
and data that is not properly organized, right? Because again, in order to use rule-based automation, data has to be structured so cleanly where it's like plain view, everything is there. I can see the logic. If it's not, again, AI is your friend.
Yes.
But it's like the key to understanding, kind of like, with the examples that I'm gonna jump into. So the first example, I wanted to one second here.
Yeah, well, you're getting that pulled up. I love that that thinking here, which is like don't just use AI to use AI. Use AI when it's an effective tool in the toolkit. I think that's a really important lesson for folks to internalize.
Yeah, so without, again, like being careful not to expose too much, but this is something that I've built for my inbox triage. I think it's inbox triage is the very first thing you should test with AI because it's kind of like, okay, low-hanging fruit. It's something that, most probably we all hate doing. It's the endless hours of going through your inbox because so many emails are coming through. So how can we use rules-based automation and AI agents to help us triage our inboxes, right? First of all, if you're using Gmail, if you're using Outlook, I mentioned it before, most probably there's a filter function.
Yep.
We use Gmail workspace here at school. So Gmail has filter functions where you can be like, hey, if it's an email from this person, if it has this subject, or the body includes this information, if it has even a PDF attachment, you can set, rules for all of that within Gmail. So no need to add your AI to it, no need to burn through tokens. Gmail already gives you the tool. There's no need to do anything else, and it's all rule-based logic. So it can do that. Now, where this is this helpful? So what we have here is a scheduled cron job, which just means like an AI agent is doing a specific task on a scheduled timeline. That's all a cron job is. Um, and what it's doing is it's going through my unread emails that none of my filters and rule-based logic were able to, go through because it's either new emails or emails that just don't fall under any sort of logic. And what it does is it filters through them and it has like a three different priority levels of what I need to get to. If it's a high priority that requires a reply, it drafts a reply and puts it into my drafts folder, and then it archives everything else. So basically, all I'm doing, like on a daily basis with my inbox, is that about every 30 minutes to an hour, I'm checking my drafts folder. If there's something in drafts, that means there's something that I need to reply to that's important.
Yep.
Like I can't, it shouldn't wait. Like I'm gonna get to it, right now. But that's all I do. I go check if there's nothing in drafts, I'm going forward to my next task. So I'm doing this usually between, one finance task and another. Then
Hmm.
at the end of the day, I go through what it archived and what it marked kind of like less priority, just to make sure I'm clearing everything. Again, keeping the human in the loop. I'm not blindly trusting it to manage my inbox. It's just helping me take care of the mundane manual tasks involved in it. And so what it does is it's set for every 15 minutes. I know it says 5 minutes there, but that was the original one. And I was like, that's too much. It's crazy. And it's burning through tokens.
You
So
got to get the
I,
token
I
maxing,
cleaned
right?
its memory and its usage, and it's very token friendly now. I think it barely uses like 300 tokens to get the job done with every run. But what it does is it gives me, hey, this is what I processed. You had 400 emails. Um, I assigned this to tier one. These are tier two, what I've archived, and this is what I archived. If it has anything urgent, it actually sends me a Slack message. Here at school, we use Slack for basically our day-to-day ops, like most of the work we do. So everyone's always on Slack. If something If I get a notification on Slack, I'm gonna get to it, basically.
Hmm.
So that's why it sends it to Slack. So I know that, it means business. That's kind of like the application of rules-based logic plus,
Yeah.
automation on something that's not necessarily a finance task. I consider this, an admin task, but it's amazing to start and, get into AI through it because it's not that,
Hmm.
if you break something, life's not over. You didn't ruin month-end close of what someone else is working on. You're good. And right now, you look, it just started on its own. So did you guys see the pop-up or is that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we saw it.
So it's saying, hey, I'm working right now, and you can see the three dots kind of bubbling over there that it's running. So, and also for, I don't know think I mentioned, I'm using Claude Desktop. This is what you guys are seeing right now, which
Yep.
is downloadable from Claude. It's a feature that lets you access all their models on your local device. Going to projects, and I'm going to this, which is something that we discussed to share for this specific call. Last year, I started working on, okay, like we have all those transactions being filtered through our logic-based rules in RAMP, right? But what if I want to take this a step further? For all those transactions that I, need a little bit of critical thinking to get to, what can I do? And that's when I came up with the idea of BIBIT, which is an acronym for Best Bookkeeper in Town, just to keep
I love
it,
that.
fun and
BIBIT
lighthearted.
is so cute. That's such a friendly name. It feels like it should be a Disney character.
Right? So the whole purpose of BIBIT is to basically go through those transactions that the rule-based logic didn't get to and trying to understand where they should go based on our confidence matrix. And what the confidence matrix is basically a memory file that I've built over the past year and a half of where I would record it. So basically it started with like, hey, you have 20 uncategorized transactions. Walk me through like how would you categorize them? And I walk through the examples. It learns from it, updates its memory. So the next time one of those transactions comes through, it tries to do it itself and asks for approval,
Hmm.
right? So it's like, hey, I'm going to mark this as, I saw a restaurant transaction from a new restaurant that's not on the field, but based on this, all restaurants during this time, it's a team lunch. And I'm like, you got it right. Go ahead. And it slowly increases its confidence levels in those transactions, right? And so it's using its memory to continuously like try to get through as many tasks as possible but always leaving, the human in the loop. That's the important thing. And it always sends a full report of everything it's done. So if it is actually changing items, it's sending him a report saying, hey, this is what I've changed. Please review it. If there's anything that, it reviewed wrong, I ask it to go and fix it. Now, because we use ramp and the way that ramp functions is that all that we have to do is fix stuff during the day and then it auto syncs to the general ledger at night. Like we
Yeah.
don't actually have to push any sync between them. So as long as we get it done before the end of the day and we fix it before the end of the day, we don't have to touch the ERP. Now, if it posts and it goes to the ERP, then BIBIT has to actually go and use a different MCP, which MCP is basically like a connection over a server to the tool you're using, right? So now instead of talking to Ramp, it has to now go to talk to DualEntry and be like, hey, DualEntry, we got it wrong. We need to fix it. But basically, that's all it's doing. And the cool thing again is that it's learning from each iteration of
Yeah.
itself. Now, one thing that we've discussed is where is the persona? So, how did I come up with BIBIT? Basically, it was months of research to build the perfect template. So, what you guys are seeing right now, this is what's called a persona template. And a persona basically is like this character that you're building, right? We're just talking about how BIBIT could be a Disney character. Basically, this
There you
is kind of
go.
like the backbone. Like if you're going to build a persona, if you want a bookkeeper, if you want an EA, if you want to do a junior accountant, an intern, a senior accountant, whatever the role might be, I built this template to build that persona. So, and this, template is based on a lot of research on what the LLM model needs to read in order to know what it is going to do. So you can basically use this template, which we will share, to create that persona for yourself. And the way it works is you're going to use an LLM model for research, I would highly recommend Perplexity if you've never used. It is the one of the best models for research out there.
Hmm.
But you ask Perplexity, you share this template. It's like, hey, I am building an AI persona for a bookkeeper to work at our company. And hopefully you feed it some information about your company. So the more memory it has, the better it can build this persona. But what it's going to do is it's going to go access the web, access all the research that it can access, and it's going to start filling out this template. Like what what does this role, what is this role and what does it do? What are the foundational mechanics of this role? Like what will the role
Yeah.
execute on your behalf? What are the boundaries and guardrails and different roles that work next to it, right? For example, if you're doing BIBIT, um, well, the first iteration of BIBIT, just because again, I wasn't trusting it, I specifically told it, you are to never post anything. You
Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
approve anything without a human in the loop. So if there's any guardrail that you want to introduce to that persona, this is where you give it that boundary, right? What about traits and mindset? So like, hey, again, like we're trying to build a character here, right? It needs to be fully developed. So it's going to use the research to develop your traits and mindsets. What about ethics and professional standards?
Hmm.
A big one is our books need to be gap compliant. So one of the professional standards that is built into BIBIT's memory is that whenever it goes out, it's trying to, categorize anything, it has to be done on a gap standard. So if it's anything tied to revenue, is going to look at ASC 606, making sure the matching principles, is always in place, all of this stuff. Then looking at industry items. So basically, like again, the more it knows about your company, the better that it can do go out and try to figure things out, right? So BIBIT knows that we're a SaaS company. So when it's comparing things of how to fill that gap, it's going to look like what other SaaS companies doing here. So it's learning based off of its memory. You have persona implications is basically the payload of what it's going to do, right? Like what is it going to give you, the
Hmm.
outputs, behavioral directives, like when to ask versus when to do. It literally goes through and build everything that your persona is going to need to start functioning properly. And the cool thing is something that I always do with, if I'm using AI for research, is to always give me all the sources and give me an appendix with
Yeah.
all the research used. Because this is where the human in the loop comes in the research. Your job is that once AI has built this template for you, for your persona, for your company, you're going to come here through the sources and you're going to review your appendix for research method and you're going to go through every single one of those things. And you're going to make sure that, you visited those sites that it visited, make sure that,
Yeah.
everything is good to go, everything is legit. And then obviously reviewing it before starting to test it out. And again, you always want to start with as many guardrails, as many boundaries
Yeah.
as possible, like only read, never write. So that way, again, you're dealing with highly sensitive information, especially with finance. Like we have to be careful. And that's one thing that I've
Yeah.
seen is that people are putting these tools into place, AIs, and I'm like, you do realize that every time you prompt something, to Claude, to ChatGPT, and you're giving it financial information on your company, like, Anthropic or OpenAI now has that information, and they're
Right.
like, what? And I'm like, yes, they do. So like, there's some privacy settings that you need to set. And if you take it any further and you start diving into this, like I myself use a local agent, meaning that all the thinking happens on device and it doesn't ever go to the cloud, especially for like really sensitive information about
Yeah.
school. But yeah, like honestly, it's like such a big world to explore. But again, it's all taking its one step at a time. And I know I'm like trying to talk so fast because I see that we're at like a minute over time. But yeah, I don't know if we can still take questions.
Yeah, yeah. I think we could take one or two questions
Okay, cool.
while folks are putting those in the chat. First off, thank you for sharing that. I think people are going to really benefit from being able to see that role template. So we'll share it out to attendees after the call. How many agents are you using? How many different BitBits do you have out there?
I have seven personas. Yeah, so BIBIT actually has been retired and BIBIT's been replaced by Clara. So Clara
Ah,
is
okay.
and I can actually share something which is a little bit more advanced and it's set to demo mode. But this is my own to-do list app that I vibe coded. Um, and we use the encoder to again like look up what language it's using, everything. You need to be able to understand this stuff before you know vibe coding because it's dangerous. But one of the things that it does is these are all the agents that it uses. So I can call on any of these seven agents to do work. So Clara's the controller accountant, Aria is revenue billing, Finn does FP&A, Liv is our treasurer, Tess does tax and compliance, Piper procurement and AP, and Remy payroll and people costs. So whenever a
That's
task comes
amazing.
in, well, the app is called Ava, and that's Advanced Virtual Assistant, AVA, Ava. And Ava is the orchestrator, meaning a task comes in that I create, so I can do a new task, create a task, and then Ava chooses the best agent to send the information to.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's very cool. I'm sure everybody is itching to get out there and add to their agent pool of resources and capabilities. Um, okay, so one of the questions that came in, I think we've answered here, which is, how are you using AI in Claude? You kind of walked us through using Claude Desktop, having agents, scheduling these agents, those kinds of things. Um, I'm curious, how do you think about these personas? They live outside of these various tech stacks. They live outside of Ramp and DualEntry. Um, how much of this is, your view is to continually build outside of the stacks and be able to talk to every part of it versus use some of the native tools like, Ramp Plus or things along those lines? How do you think about that?
Yeah, so what I try to prioritize is using AI within the tools that are available. So one of the questions I see that was asked like 30 minutes ago by anonymous attendee was like, okay, live example, like how are you leveraging dual entry, right? A great example of something that I've moved from one of my agents to using the AI tool in dual entry is for doing adjusting entries for payroll, right?
Hmm.
Using Copilot in Dual Entry, all I have to do is prompt this like, "Hey, I need you to accrue this payroll run." It goes on its own. It looks for the payroll run. It looks up the start date, the end date. There's some additional parameters that you can add with like new hires and all this stuff, and it'll uh, create the journal entries for you. So that's a great example of like the tools that we have advancing more and more into this realm where you don't actually need to go to Claude Desktop or using Claude or Codex or whatever to build this stuff. It's already in your tool. So, and the reason why I prioritize using the tools is because these companies have a lot more resources to develop the security behind these
Hmm.
protocols, right? For example, I know that with dual entry, like it spins its own like private hosting for each company. So when you are interacting with AI, all that data information is yours to keep and no one else has access to it, right? So this is again goes back to security. I always prioritize using, either the AI in DualEntry, the AI in Rippling, the AI in Ramp, especially to do the work rather than relying on my own agents. And that's like one thing that's becoming more and more evident. Like I'm using Clara, which is like the new form of BIBIT, less and less because the tools that Ramp is introducing. Like Ramp introduced a whole like AI policy where you can
Hmm.
actually use like, common language. Like, oh, when you see a transaction from Facebook ads, it always needs to be categorized as advertising expense, as class MRR. And it'll take that common language and apply the logic-based rules and everything for you. So go in again. This goes back to know the tools that you're using.
Yeah.
And Mark Paul asks something about Ramp Plus. We do use Ramp Plus just because of all those features that are built into what they provide, especially with like with the new AI tools they're introducing, especially the AI policy. The AI policy has been like an amazing addition to the Ramp tool stack.
Amazing. Well, we are just about out of time, so I know there's probably other questions. James, if people have questions for you, where can they find you? When does your book come out? Are you sending me a signed copy? Tell us about how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, the book is still I'm writing the kind of like the last couple of chapters of it. So I don't know, it's a free time project. So right now I'm kind of like I lack that. So I don't know when the date will be, but if anyone has questions or wants to reach out or is intrigued and wants to learn more, I'm always, available. Like connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message, ask whatever you want. I've, done a couple of these webinars now, and the amount of people that have come and asked more questions, it's honestly been amazing because it helps me to like dive more into the subject and get to
Hmm.
know more of the tools out there. Because again, like, I haven't used every tool that's out there.
Yeah.
There's so many new tools coming out every day. So to learn more about all the different tools that are coming out and the new functionality, like I enjoy doing that. So yeah, reach out to me through LinkedIn, send me a message, and yeah, I'll connect with you there and answer your questions.
Amazing, amazing. Well, again, thank you so much, James, for joining us for Control AI here with DualEntry. We're obviously very excited to be partnering with you. We're excited and honored to be the ERP behind Skool. If anybody has questions about DualEntry, how it works, how to automate, James started to talk about some of the flows inside of DualEntry. You can obviously visit our website. You can reach out to me. Same thing. I'll make myself available via LinkedIn or otherwise. But we're just really excited to help people advance their AI capabilities in a responsible, professional way and actually realize the promise of this powerful tool across their workflow. So, again, thank you all for attending. And James, thank you for being our guest and sharing all these amazing tips and tricks from your experience.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andy. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, everyone.